I grew up poor and middle class in Alabama. We were middle class because my dad was a school teacher. And we were poor because my dad was a school teacher. Dad taught industrial arts, shop, woodwork at the high school. And when I moved into the 7th grade, I had two choices. I had to choose for one of my classes. I could choose either band or shop. Well, I had no musical talent whatsoever, still don't. And so the idea of being in band was just not appealing to me at all. But it was a better alternative than shop, where I had to go to school under my dad. My dad was a hard man. He was a fair man, but he was hard. And those were the days in which teachers could and did use a paddle from time to time. Well, I went to band. The teacher, for some reason, decided that because I was a teacher's kid that I would be expecting special favors, I guess. But he gave me an old beat-up trombone, told me to take it home and to clean it and oil it and to learn the scale. I can still remember, I was up to 2 o'clock in the morning. Had that trombone taken apart and I was cleaning it and oiling it, and the slide still scratched. And I didn't know anything about a scale, and so I learned absolutely nothing. The next day in class, teacher said, "Maxwell, will you play the scale for us?" Well, it was terrible. It was humiliating. And before I had gotten through with my efforts, the teacher just lit into me. And I can not remember everything he said, but among other things he said, "You may think that just because you're a teacher's kid, you can get special favors or get a good grade, and it won't work in my class." And I threw the trombone at him. I'm not proud of that, but that's what happened. So the next day I was in shop with my dad as a teacher. We covered a certain amount of material, and Dad gave us a test. And there were about half of the class flunked the test. And Dad said there was absolutely no reason for you to fail this, because I gave you the information. All you had to do was learn it, and I'm going to have private conferences with every one of you. Well, I'm not exactly sure what a private conference means in this day and age, but I know what it was going to mean with my dad. I was going to get a paddling. And he said, "And Maxwell, you can be first. I'll see you right after school." Well, I knew what was going to happen, but as we were walking out, Edwin Gray, one who had also flunked the test, started, "Max gonna get a whipping, Max gonna get a whipping." And as we were going out the door, I saw this scrawny, muscled arm and hand reach over and get Edwin by the shoulder. And my dad said, "Edwin, you can be first." Took him back and paddled him. When school was out, I went back down to take my punishment, but I had a whole different attitude about it. I knew that that was harsh punishment, but I also knew that my dad was fair. I don't defend the punishment. I never paddled my children. Well, occasionally a swat on the bottom. But I learned then that my dad was a hard man, but by his standards, he was a fair man. And I don't think that's a bad thing to know about your father.